Hello. What's up, everyone? My name is Bill. Welcome to KO Bets. Had a rough weekend. Well, I had a nice weekend. Rough weekend betting wise. I'll tell you about my weekend first. I went to my good friend's wedding in Ohio. Played some golf Saturday morning. Celebrated the marriage Saturday night. That was a lot of fun, and then it's like a 6-hour drive between Ohio and Illinois. So it was a lot of time spent in the car. And then as for the fights, I had to watch all of them on, replay through ESPN Plus. I was able to do that just yesterday after getting home. Look over some of the fights. Didn't look at all of them. But I did look at some of the, I would say 8 out of the 12 is what I ended up watching just last night, and then I was kind of tired and fell asleep. We went 6-6 only, which isn't ideal, but it was a very exciting card. There were a lot of really good fights that occurred. There were some, you could have gotten some nasty odds on some of these results, I'll tell you. Like, freaking Gerald Murchart. Unbelievable. I mean, and if you liked him by submission. That was plus 1,000 odds. So, if you wouldn't mind, in the comments below, why don't you share your best bet of the weekend? Tell me what you did. Maybe it was a parlay. Maybe it was a round robin. Maybe it was Gerald Murchart via first round submission, something crazy like that. Just tell me what you ended up winning. And before we get started, also if you could subscribe, like the channel, like the video, it helps me out tremendously with getting this word out to as many people as possible. Helps me grow my channel, and just kind of gain a following. So, without further ado, let's recap the fights. UFC Fight Night, Barboza versus Chikadze. In the first fight, let me switch pages here. I keep forgetting I have this. So in the first fight, we had Martinez against Guido Canetti. I thought Martinez won the fight. I mean, statistics don't tell everything in a fight. It doesn't talk about, obviously there was that reverse by Guido, but it doesn't tell the whole story. But it seemed pretty obvious from the statistics that are pertinent to scoring a match that Martinez won. He did it by split decision, but nonetheless, we got that correct. Started off the night well, and then it kind of went downhill from there. So he came in at Martinez minus 265 on the money line. For if the fight would go the distance, I believe for yes it was minus 300. So pretty good fight, competitive, good for Martinez. And the next bout we had Jamal Emmers against Pat Savatini. I just thought I picked Jamal Emmers in this fight. I thought he was going to be be able to establish some striking on his feet against Pat Savatini, but he just wasn't able to and got submitted very quickly in the first round. He was throwing more volume, and then just ended up getting caught. So it happens. Congrats if you took Pat Savatini. He had plus 130 odds on the night. I specifically did not throw out any prop bets for that fight because I viewed it as more of a pick'em, although I did think Jamal Emmers would be able to figure out Pat Savatini. In the next bout, we had J.J. Aldrich against Vanessa Demopolis. Vanessa was making her UFC debut. Had a really good, it's good she went the distance. I mean, JJ Aldrich had she was minus 400 odds to get a knockout or decision, minus 410 odds on the night. So, we picked JJ Aldrich, the heavy favorite. The prop bet, and maybe that's something I'm most disappointed about is just like with this card is not taking maybe some chances on fighters I kind of liked, underdogs, but regardless, we'll get through it. So for prop bets, I nominated the JJ via TKO or decision, or JJ via decision. Kind of liked both of those. JJ had 0 submission wins going into this fight, so she still got 0. And Vanessa Demopolis in her professional career has yet to be KO'd, so both streaks continue. JJ is definitely going to look to face, maybe not a someone making their debut, maybe someone a little long tenured and, try and climb the rankings. In the next fight, we had Dustin Jacoby against Darren Stewart. We picked Dustin Jacoby just as a more, just having better striking prowess. We did like maybe Darren Stewart's ability to take down him, and okay, he had 2 takedowns. I gotta admit, this was one of the fights I didn't watch, or have time to watch, but first round KO, good for Dustin Jacoby. Looks like he outstruck him, and Darren Stewart got a couple of takedowns, but it didn't matter. This one bummed me out a little bit. Smiling Sam Alvey lost the split decision. Kind of looks like the 2 takedowns stole the fight away from Sam Alvey. I thought he had a really good approach to the fight. His takedown defense isn't terrible, but it wasn't good enough to keep off his back against Wellington Thurman. So good for Wellington. I think Sam's on like a 6-fight losing streak. So we'll see where he ends up. Wellington Thurman, the winner, carried minus 130 favored odds. Could have gone. I think if you went all favorites on this card, you were in bad shape pretty much. Like you might have won 7 bouts or something. So you were in better shape than I ended up, but it's okay. Alessios Tosharo against Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Abdul scored a really, really clean head kick. Like, okay, so it was his first strike of the fight. I mean, just a beautiful head kick. Alessio was done from that. Definitely thought Alessio would take this fight simply because I thought so Abdul, I think he's only won when he's scored these first round knockouts. I literally think every single one of his wins is via knockout, so all 11 now. And then he has 3 fights. He was on a 3-fight losing streak. He's 0-3 in decision, so the gas tank fades a little bit in this fight. What are you gonna do? I didn't think he'd connect on his first strike thrown of the match, and it'd be a head kick at 17 seconds into the fight that would ruin this for Abdul. For Alessio. Alessio, he's just gonna have to. He had the nice KO of Buckley. He's just gonna have to pick it up and try and figure things out. So congrats to Abdul. He was an underdog actually at plus 195. Just was on a losing streak. Alessio carried a lot of momentum from that Buckley knockout that he had. In the future, maybe, with a guy like Abdul, if you like him, you just pick on him, right, to win by KO. But as you see, if you bet money on him, and as you see, it gets out of the first round, I'm telling you, the gas tank just goes. So, Makhmud Muradov against Gerald Murchart. I mean, Makhmud did look good on his feet. Sorry, he looked like he was a more proficient striker, but I mean, he was wildly inaccurate. I don't know if he caught Gerald more than once with like a really clean punch. Got taken down, obviously, and then Gerald took the back and was able to submit him with a rear naked choke. So, I mean, Gerald is who we ended up picking. He carried minus 630 odds. I did like the prop bet that this fight would not go the distance. I liked Makhmud, so his KO was minus 175 for a win. Murchart, if he was going to win, it was going to be via submission. That was plus 1,000 odds. So congrats if you took that. Just a really outstanding win for Gerald, who's had, a couple of bad losses. Obviously, I mean, I'm excited to see Hamzat fight again because I think the last time he fought, it was Gerald, and I think it was him. Obviously it didn't go well for Gerald, and with another great striker coming in there, I definitely thought Gerald was going to get knocked out. So, I didn't think this was a fight that, stylistically played in his favor. Hamzat's a much better grappler than Makhmud and probably a better striker, but congrats to Gerald. I mean, that's a great win for him. Really great win. Andre Petrovsky against Michael Gilmore. Both fighters were making their UFC debut. Andre just seemed like a little just better, and ended up finishing the fight in the third round up against the fence with ground and pound. He carried heavy favorites in this card too at minus 525. I predicted the fight would not go the distance. That was minus 400 odds, and we just squeaked that out. So that was awesome. And then I liked Andre to win via KO or submission. I wasn't sure what he would, be able to pull off. He ended up getting the ground and pound win, but prior to this fight, all three of Michael Gilmore's losses were via submission. So definitely kept that possibility open and didn't want to just bet on the Andre KO. But the KO sub minus 250 odds. So you could have improved your odds significantly, and then you scored the clutch, late third round knockout, which is just feels really great when you're betting on the fight to end inside the distance. Then we had in the next bout, we had Kevin Lee against Daniel Rodriguez. This was one that I was back and forth on. Dan Rodriguez ended up winning it. I just wanted to see Kevin Lee's takedown breakdown. So he had one in the first, one in the second, and one in the third. They scored it as, but okay, I wasn't sure if he had a couple earlier in the match, but just the Daniel Rodriguez just looked really good on his feet. So he carried plus 125 odds. Kevin Lee just seemed to, I would say, gas out a little bit in this fight. I mean, Daniel was just the more active striker in the bout. He had the big reversal, which was, it was a close fight though. 3 takedowns in 3 separate rounds. That's how Kevin Lee should approach a fight. This one I didn't really understand. Well, I understand why it was a split decision. There was a lot of grappling, but we had Ricky Tercios against Brady Highstand. Both of these guys were making their debuts. We picked Brady Highstand in this fight. It was a really good fight. Ricky, it says he landed 201 of 281 strikes. I mean, that's a lot of it was from the ground. He did have the knockdown, but a lot of it was on the ground. And then otherwise he was just, basically out striking. So, interesting fight. Both made their debuts. The announcers seemed impressed with them. Brady, I think, has to, work on his stand-up game a little bit, but they're clearly both gamers, and they just, are willing to bite down on the mouth guard piece and went the distance. It was a split decision. Like I said, I just think Ricky, personally, I thought Ricky won it a little more convincingly. Didn't think Brady scored 6 takedowns. Thought it was more like 4, but good debuts from each of them. Great fight. In the next bout, Brian Battle against Gilbert Urbina. Brian Battle ended up getting the submission win. I thought this fight was going to go the distance. Brian Battle was the favorite at minus 170 odds. Gilbert definitely, I don't know, I thought he looked a little more comfortable on his feet. He was throwing a lot of elbows in succession, which was a little bit weird. Specifically in the minutes leading up to when he ultimately got submitted there. But I didn't think Gilbert would get submitted because he does have, I think, quite a few submission wins on his record. So I just didn't think he'd, caught with something that he's, I think, pretty good at himself. I'm not sure if my microphone was working before. I just took the stuff out of my bag before, going live, and it appeared like the back of it was maybe unplugged a little bit. So that's a bummer if it was unplugged, but I did see the mic and aux thing going off, so hopefully it went through, didn't sound too weird. Maybe it did. Maybe it sounded cool. Maybe it's something I do more often moving forward, but that's a bummer if it didn't go through. Probably won't re-record tonight, but I would definitely put something together for tomorrow, just a brief recap after screwing up the sound. Sorry, let's finish up. I was talking about Brian Battle, Gilbert Urbina. Battle got the submission win. Was just saying I didn't feel like he dominated the fight. I didn't feel like he was going to score a submission against Gilbert Urbina. I gotta be honest, I have Brian Battle circled. I'm just not sure why I took him or why I liked him at all. 4 of his 6 fights have ended via submission. Then he had a decision and a KO finish, so I definitely... So, I mean, yeah, I guess the submission would be his approach to winning, but under normal circumstances, I just thought, I didn't think Gilbert was going to get submitted. So I thought it was going to be played out on the feet, and I thought Battle was going to look a little bit better on his feet, but definitely needs some work. In the last bout, we had Edson Barboza against Giga Chikadze. Giga was definitely more active, for sure. That being said, I thought Edson Barboza, had a relatively decent game plan until he got tired. I mean, he's not gonna throw a lot of volume. He's just gonna, try and score those knockouts. And ultimately in this fight, I think that knee clinch that, it just kind of perfectly set up an overhand right for Giga along the fence. Kneed Barbosa, pushed him into the fence. The distance from there was perfect, and he connected on a really decent overhand right. So, great win for Giga. I chose Edson Barboza. Giga was the underdog, plus 105 odds. This was a fight you just knew that was going to end down inside the distance, and it's kind of crazy. Well, it was a 5-round bout, so round 3 isn't bad, but I wouldn't have been surprised if it got ended earlier. So, great win for Giga. Gets to advance up the ranking. Barbosa's no joke. I mean, he's a scary fighter. He's not afraid to get knocked out. So he goes in there and he throws hard shots. So, like I said, pretty rough week of making bets, but the good news is there's always next week. So we got through it. It wasn't, it was just a really exciting card. I feel, I'm a little bit lucky. I was busy Saturday night, attending to wedding festivities. So, I was keeping up with what was happening on ESPN on the app as updates came in, but I just wasn't in a great position to place any bets, while the fights were going on, which is, probably a good thing. That being said, I think we've got a matchup coming up next week. Let's exit this. See what's going on. I think Contender Series is on tomorrow night. I'm not big into the Contender Series, but maybe I should start watching it just to carry a little more knowledge with these fighters that are making their debuts. Get more of this pre-UFC exposure. Oh, so next week we got Derrick Brunson against Darren Till. I like that fight a lot. I'm a big Darren Till fan. I don't know if I love him to beat Brunson. Then I've definitely seen Sergey Spivak fight before. I'll have to look up this guy, Tom Aspinall, who's the favorite, David Zawada, Alex Morono, Khalil Roundtree. Oh, Paddy Pimblett is making his debut. Oh, wow, that's so cool. That's awesome. I'm really excited to see Paddy. Paddy Pimblett. Jonathan Martinez, Marcelo, Julian Arosa. Cool. Exciting card. So yeah, I'll do some homework, watch some film, and then report back to everyone on Friday. Probably do the show around 7-ish on Friday. I might hop in on a little bit earlier like I did today. But yeah, otherwise, I appreciate you leaving a comment down below. Like I said, let me know who the, what was the best bet you made all weekend. Oh, We had the Tyrone versus Jake Paul fight, and I watched their matchup. I didn't watch any of the other matchups before that. I would have lost money on that. I would have. So I think Jake Paul probably should have scored a unanimous decision against Tyrone. Tyrone had his moments in the fight. Obviously landed a couple of hard shots, but Jake was landing hard shots. I mean, it didn't look like they, did much to Tyrone, but he point fought him and he won. I mean, it was actually pretty cool to see how good he was compared to a guy like Tyrone at boxing. That being said, after watching that, he cannot do like a UFC fight against a guy of that caliber. Boxing, it's probably safe. It'll be interesting to see who his next opponent is, where it goes from there. But he should. I mean, maybe he could do UFC, but I just, and it wouldn't be against the caliber, that type of opponent. It would be like the celebrity stuff he initially started doing, but it was a surprising night. I mean, I thought Tyrone would win it. Thought he would, but his boxing didn't look great either, and his gas tank didn't look great. So it was a great fight for Jake. Let's see, and then we got that fight this weekend. I'm not sure what else I'm up to. Yeah, I think that's about it. We'll wrap it up. So yeah, if you could like the video, comment below your best bet of the weekend, subscribe to the channel. Would greatly appreciate all that. Have a good week, everyone.